So we're learning now the halachot of brachot, and since it's before Pesach, so we decided to go a bit on halachot of beer, so we can finish the beer. But it's a topic which is it's mentioned in a few places in Siman Resh Dalet and Siman Kuf Samechet, and other places is when we have a mixture. The topic of today is when we have a mixture, kar v'tafel. Something is important, something is less important. What bracha do we say on it? And the example when we have them together, a famous question is a krembo. Israeli kids grow up on krembo in the winter. And what bracha do we say? Do we say shehakol on the krem, on the taft thing, or we say mezanot on the cookie? We'll discuss it today. What bracha do we say on schnitzel? You asked it, I'm not sure who, but you asked it last week. What bracha do we say on schnitzel? What bracha do we say on beer? We'll get also hopefully a bit to wine. What bracha do we say on a wine which is diluted in water? Okay, regular wine is agafen, obviously, but the wine which is diluted in water. And but
how much has to be?
How much wine do you have to have for it to say agafen? When it says on the bottle kasher agafen af b'shitat Beit Yosef, even for the Beit Yosef, what does it mean exactly, and what's the argument between the Beit Yosef and the Rama? Hopefully, we'll get to all of those.
I had a question today about soup.
What bracha do we say on soup? Okay, what bracha do we say on soup? So we won't go to all the questions. Soup actually is a very interesting, very interesting question because salads. You have salad with cheese, salad with olives,
fruit and vegetables in the salad.
Right. So what bracha do you say on all of them? On soup, for example, what happens when you have a soup which has a mixture of things? But let's say it's just a vegetable soup. We won't discuss this today. But it's just a vegetable soup, do we say ha'adama? Even if you have the water, maybe yes.
Soup with garlic.
Okay, we have a soup with barley. That's a good question. Some people have a soup with solid, with it's like a, how you call solid in English. It's thick, very thick flour. We say mezanot on that. We'll get to it. Let's get to it.
And address croutons on the soup.
Yeah, croutons on the soup. Okay, so everything we have a mixture. That's our topic for today. And as I said, it's the halachot. We'll find them in a few different places. So one of the places is Kuf Samechet, is the siman which we just learned now, and we also have in Reish Daled about beer. Okay, the bracha of beer, and a bit of Reish Chet. It's really many places. Okay, so let's begin. Let's open. I have to open so many things in one book. So let's open. It. It should be, so we really have to skip between places. It. Let's say in a few. I have a friend who likes to eat sardines. And it's very hard to eat sardines just by itself. Too oily, too salty, but he likes to eat sardines also for the health. And anyway, he eats together with.
Love sardines.
Yeah. If you eat sardines, if you eat sardines, and you eat bread with it, with the sardines, but the whole purpose of eating the bread is just so you can eat the sardines.
Soak up the oil.
Soak up the oil, so it won't be too oily for you. So what bracha do we say on those sardines or the bread? What bracha do we say? Here, if you notice, it's not really a mixture, right? It's because the sardines are separated from the bread, right? But the whole purpose of eating the bread is just to eat the sardines. So at the end of Siman Reish Yud Bet 212, says the Shulchan Aruch. מרקחת שמניחים על רקיקים דקים, some jam or jelly, depending if you're American or Australian, how you call it. אותם רקיקים, those small slices of bread, or הבו תפלה למרקחת. They are unimportant. They are secondary for the jam or whatever it is. והדבר ידוע, it's known, שאין מתכוונים לאכול לחם. You aren't eating bread. You don't have a purpose of eating bread. The reason you're eating the bread is because you want to eat sardines or something sweet, and you don't want to eat it with the hands. You take a bit of crackers or you take a bit of bread and put it on the bread, but the goal isn't to eat the bread. So the bracha will be shehakol if it's sardines. You can ask on the Seder night table, I'm eating matzah. How could it be that I say shehakol on the matzah? And if you eat matzah with sardines, and the whole purpose of eating the matzah is just to hold the sardines, and that's it. So the bracha will be shak. On the sardines, you say the bracha on the sardines. The sardines will be the most important thing, and the bread, which is usually bread, is the most important thing, and everything goes by the bread. Here we have an opposite case. The main food is the sardine, or the sweet thing, or the fruit mixture, or whatever. And the sardines, that's the main thing. And the bread goes up afterward. It's secondary. So we say one bracha on the sardines.
So you can say that about a hot dog and a hot dog bun, or almost any sandwich where the ikar is what's inside.
Well, there's big
There's the Mishnah Berurah.
pastrami
Yeah.
sandwiches. You just have a couple places of bread, but you want it for the pastrami.
Says the Mishnah Berurah, and I think he answers this question. And let's say we start with a krembo. Right? A krembo is a very common question for kids. You have tfilat yiladim, and then you give them out krembos, and you want to see how much they learned. What bracha do we say on a krembo? A krembo has this big part of pastry or pasta, not sure, sugar and other chemicals, and a small cookie underneath. So what bracha do we say on it? Says the Mishnah Berurah. This halacha that we just read just now, it's only when the whole reason for eating the bread is so your hands don't get dirty, so the saltiness won't disturb you. But in our countries, and it's true, obviously it's true for today, when we make good bread, and you make nice bread, and the meaning for the bread is we have a hot dog bun with a thick pastrami or hamburger with a bun. Obviously, you want to eat also the bun. It's obvious because the bun is nice, it's big. You want a fresh bun. When the purpose is for both of them, so then sometimes you say a bracha on both, sometimes on one of them. We'll explain it in just a moment. Okay, so the Mishnah Berurah first says this halacha that the bread is secondary. It's only when the whole purpose of the bread is just to eat something else with it. But when the bread is nice and you want to eat also the bread, and when the cookie is nice and you want to eat also the cookie, so then you say a bracha also on the cookie. We have pastrami. Okay, pastrami and bread. What bracha do you say on pastrami and bread? What bracha do you say on a hot dog and hot dog? Motzi. Why didn't you say a bracha on both of them? Because it's a meal. It's part of the meal. So the hot dog is part of the meal of eating it for the bread. That's maybe the example we have today of a sandwich of other foods being eaten with bread. In the past, everything was eaten with the bread. Right? You eat, some people ate even daisa with the bread, called kutacha bavli. It's made out of old bread. But nowadays, what other foods do we eat with the bread? A sandwich, a hot dog bun, a hamburger. So here you say the bracha of hamotzi. What when you have two things which both of them are important, like a krembo, for example. So you say a bracha on shakol on the cream part. You say a bracha on mezonot on the cooked part. And I think everyone who eats krembos, I think our age, we don't like them so much anymore. When we used to like krembos, I think Danny never liked them. So we know we sometimes even say we used to separate them for the fun of it, of separating them. Just so we say a bracha on the cream part, shakol, we say a bracha on the cookie.
It's like an Oreo cookie. A lot of people, they undo
the undo it, right?
Yeah.
The kids,
Right?
that's even Oreo cookie to the kids, and the undo it.
Yeah.
So here the cream, you can't eat the cream by itself, but sometimes you have the double cream, and if the kid licks the cream off, right, and sometimes even throws the cookie away, and some of my kids do it sometimes. So they should say a bracha of shakol on the cream. If
If they eat the thing, then mazonos.
Say the cookie itself, so mezonot.
But if you eat them together,
We do together, so just mezonot, right? And we'll get very soon why is mezonot if you eat them together. So when you have something which is very important, most important, but the other thing, the secondary, is also important. For example, when we eat crackers, some of us when we eat crackers with herring, for some of us the herring is the main part. The main reason is the herring. But the reason we use crackers is so our hands don't get dirty, right? So here lichora we should say just shehakol, only shehakol, right? But we do like our crackers to be nice. We do choose good crackers. We do choose, if we have two kinds of crackers on the table, we might choose one of them, the one which we prefer, with sesame seeds or with salt, whichever one we prefer. So here, that's what according to Mishnah Berurah, since it's true that the main part is that the herring, but since we also want to eat the crackers, we say a bracha on the crackers and the bracha on the herring. Okay, so that's so here we had an example of, it's not a mixture, it's two things which are eaten with each other. And one of them will be more important, and the other one will be secondary, and we'll say only one bracha. Let's go to a mixture. We eat salad. You go to eat salad, you have a Greek salad, you call it, right, with vegetables, and so you have many vegetables, cheese, olives. What bracha do we say? Do we have to take out an olive and say ha'etz, and then take out the cheese and say she'akol? Or since everything is one mixture and we eat everything together, so we just say adama and that's it. So here we get to the question of mixture. And that will bring us very soon to beer. Let's read the What is it?
That's such a big question. Beer? You're making it sound like this is like the.
It's at first,
It's a shakol.
Obviously beer is shakol, but it's not so simple why beer is shakol. We'll get to it soon. It's not so simple why it's shakol.
Looking forward.
Okay, the Rosh needs to give no reasons. We'll get to it. Okay. Anything which is ikar, which is the most important, and third is tefillah, less important. Say one bracha on the ikar. Okay, and also at the end you say one bracha. Considered ikar. What the terms of ikar? What the terms of ikar? So usually the majority will be the most important. Usually, I have salad. The most important thing in the salad is the vegetables. But I added a few olives to give a bit of saltiness and the flavor of the olives. And I added a bit of cheese to give the flavor of the cheese. So usually, the bracha will be, Adama, we go by the majority. And same with a mixture. I'm not sure. I grinded up the salad and I made a mache of strawberries. Mache, that's a different question. But I have something which is mixed up of fruit salad, and it has also a few bananas inside it and a few strawberries inside it. If most of the salad is fruit, so I'll say ha'etz, and everything will be exempt with the eitz. That's so you usually go by the majority.
A lot of fruit, the adama. It's half and half.
Banana, for example.
You have antelope, you have bananas, you have strawberries. They're all adama.
So yeah, so if the majority is adama, I'll say adama. If it's half, there's no real majority, so maybe here I'll separate a bit, say with not on say eighth, and separate a bit and say hadama. So usually we go by we say the majority. Also when how do you look at it? How do you is it a fruit salad with a few bananas inside, or is it a banana and cantaloupes and strawberries with a few oranges inside? And if it's half, so I should say both separate and say both. Okay. Second, just
You go. Are you leaving the topic of what determines the current affair?
Usually the count of will be the majority. The majority will be, unless, to give an example, something which I want to eat that, and the rest of the things that just, if I like it better, and it's a minority, so maybe I should separate them. It depends when. Like, why is it? Give me an example.
Um, rice. A lot of times they'll have a rice dish
Okay.
with a lot of these sugary pecans.
Okay.
I love those.
So
I sometimes pick at those. Let's say I
Yeah.
pick one, and I really like that. And I'm gonna do ikata. I'm gonna make two brachot. I decided I'm already gonna make two brachot. When you make the eights first, I mean you're gonna make a mazonos because that's low. It's still, but
right.
also because you like that pecans, the sugary pecans, and you like to take them and eat them first.
So what you're asking is when we have a mix, it's not really a mixture. Each one stands for itself. Usually you eat them together, like rice with those sugary fruit on them. For most people, so the sugary fruit come together with the rice, and they want to eat rice, and just so the rice will be nice, so they have the fruit on them. So most people will say, these are not on the rice. But if it is a question, what's more important for you? I'm with you. I will eat the rice just so I can have the pecans next to it. Yeah, rice is mezonot. So people like us will take a bit of rice and say mezonot, and take a pecan and say ha'etz, and then eat them together.
One of the 5
That's rice is mezonot. We'll get to it hopefully maybe after Pesach. But if we actually just for Pesach, there's actually machloket in the Gemara whether one can be yotze matzah made out of rice. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, we are not posek like him. He holds that rice is almost like one of the 5 grains. And if you have bread made out of rice and it's chametz, so we have like chametz from wheat. And if we have matzah made out of rice, so one can be also with it. We aren't posking like him, but it just shows that rice. We're not posking like him. Another example maybe is kugel, Yerushalmi and pickles. Some people, for the whole reason they have the pickles is just so the kugel will taste nice. But some people like both. So people like that will say they're not on the kugel, and they'll say adama on the pickle. So you're right. When there's a question, what's the more important? We'll eat a bite from each one of them separately, and say a separate bracha for each one of them. Whenever we have a question.
The question is, can we, if we really wanted to, say 2 or 3 brachot when we're reading instead of 1?
So,
Or, there's an inyan of trying to get to 100 brachot a day. Sometimes we have to struggle to get there.
Yeah.
And the more brachas, the better. Or isn't the more brachot we say, the better?
First, about 100 brachot, usually we don't struggle to get to 100 brachot, and that's on Shabbat.
Unless you're missing a minion.
Unless
you're missing, you're not davening it with a minion.
There's a rule.
If you miss one public minion with a minion, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, you still, There's a rule that we don't add brachot. It's a bracha shena tzricha. We say brachot only when we need. Brachot are precious. We don't just throw out a brachot and whatever bracha, pull them out of the mouth.
Here you can. It's not like stop.
Exactly. Here, since it's a fake, the question what bracha I should say, the fact I'm saying a bracha on the kugel and a bracha on the pickle, and then a bracha on the rice and a bracha on the fruit the fruit next to it. So it's not because I just want to throw out the bracha. I have a real question here. So it's not considered the bracha shenascha. It's considered a needed bracha. So here I can add the bracha. It's considered a needed bracha.
So we're talking about what order to make.
All day, yeah.
Is that important? There's a hierarchy.
Hierarchy. We'll get to it, hopefully, in a few weeks. So I want to get to the question of beer. Open it or no?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get to the question of beer, and we said they usually go by the majority. Rav and Shmuel have a rule that whenever we have a mixture of the 5 grains, we go by the 5 grains, even if it is the minority. Unless if the 5 grains come only to stick things together, to give a bit of text. If they come for taste, so we say it's not even if it's a minority. I'll give you an example for bracha. What bracha do we say on waflim? What bracha, what blessing do we say on waflim? Mezonot, right? Have you ever looked at the ingredients of waflim? What's the first ingredient? Sugar. Besides, there's only one company I've seen until now that the first ingredient is wheat. The first ingredient is sugar. What's the second ingredient?
Probably filling.
Oil. The second ingredient oil. Only the third ingredient.
Probably not a good oil.
Yeah,
Not olive oil.
it's not olive oil. Only the third ingredient is wheat. So the wheat, I'm not sure exactly how much percentage of it is, but I guess it's less than 30%. So waflim have less than 30%. So why do we say mezonot on waflim? Why don't we say shakol on waflim?
Because it's ikar. It's what we think we're eating.
So
You don't think you're eating sugar.
So you have to remind me also to ask what those long red things, how do you call them? Twizzlers. They're made from flour. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Rav and Shmuel.
Chametz gamur.
Yeah. Rav and Shmuel have the opinion, and that's what we are posting on the halacha, that by mezonot, since mezonot, the 5 grains are so important, even if they are the minority, we stay on them mezonot. We say mezonot, even if it's a minority. Unless it comes just to stick the things together. Okay? So let's try and give an example. Sometimes make meatballs. And the whole point of the flour you add to it is just so the meat doesn't fall to pieces. So there you'll say fish, ground fish, gefilte fish. Okay, just comes to puff it up, but you're eating fish. Okay, so there you'll say shackle on the fish. But on waflim, although the flour is less than 30% probably, since it comes for taste and to fill you up. So the bracha will be mezonot. So if the flour, the 5 grains, come for taste or to fill you up, the bracha will be mezonot. And here comes, let's start with the question of schnitzel. What bracha do we say on schnitzel? Shakol. So you say shakol. Okay, shakol. So also I say breaded schnitzel. So also I say shakol. And also that isn't so simple. Let's first, why don't we say hamotzi on the schnitzel? It has breadcrumbs, and today I just made schnitzels. So it's cooked. We learned last week that if you take bread and here we fry it in deep oil, so it's like cooking. Cook it, the bread, we say mezonot, unless it has a kazait. And here obviously breadcrumbs don't have kazait on them, so that therefore it's for sure not hamotzi. But based on Rav and Shmuel, when we have a mixture, and the mixture is important, it comes to give flavor, it comes to taste, and we say mezonot, even if it's the minority. So why don't we say mezonot on schnitzel?
First of all, it doesn't make a difference if it's fried or we bake our schnitzel. Never fried.
Also, no.
Doesn't make a difference.
No. If you just bake the schnitzel here, I might even ask maybe a more serious question. Say, hamotzi on the schnitzel.
The main thing is.
So here you say that the main thing is the chicken. So I saw once a rabbi who said it, and then he changed his mind. He wanted to say, although the ikar is a chicken, okay, after all, why do you have the breadcrumbs on them? For taste, for flavor, right? So as soon as we have a mixture and we have mezonot that comes for taste and flavor, the bracha should be mezonot. So the bracha on schnitzel should be mezonot. It's automatically ikar. You know, when I make schnitzeling, so at the end, if I have egg left and breadcrumbs left, I'll mix them together and make the patty from the breadcrumb. And always, unless part of the ones who don't like to eat chicken, that's the part which is the least wanted. It's the ikar. Why not? Why isn't it wanted? I'm taking the ikar, all the ikar, combining it together. That's the ikar. Take the patty. That's the ikar. They're saying, obviously, no. Obviously, in schnitzel, if I give to someone this patty made out of breadcrumbs, he'll throw me out. If I go to a restaurant and they give me, here's the main part of the schnitzel, the breadcrumbs, I won't even pay, right? So obviously here, the breadcrumbs, we see it as if it's the bread which comes to hold the sardines, or it comes to give maybe to help it fry, to give it a better texture. The oil doesn't stick to it, so it looks nicer. It doesn't come to fill us up, and it doesn't come to give flavor. We want the flavor to come from the schnitzel, from the chicken. So yeah, even flavored breadcrumbs, you look at that as a spice to the schnitzel, and not the opposite. But therefore, the bracha is hamotzi. As you said, it's the main thing is the schnitzel. The main thing is the chicken.
Fried, that's for sure.
If it's baked, you want you want the chicken. You don't want the breadcrumbs. That's the main part. Let's just get the beer and then Time for another halacha. Now in beer, the Rishonim first, just before Pesach, they look at beer as chametz gamur because it's made out of mainly barley. So it's chametz gamur, and then all the barley is just inside the water. Now let's think about it. We have water. Let's say we have 10% barley and 90% water. I'm not sure how much, but let's say that's the percentages. Just learn that according to Rav and Shmuel, as soon as we have the 5 grains mixed with each other, the bracha should be mezonot. So why do we say charcoal?
It definitely has the look and feel and taste of the liquid.
It has okay.
Has nothing to do with
So you're saying it's a liquid. It's a liquid. It is a liquid. Obviously, the flavor. Where does the flavor come from? The barley. That's what makes the difference between different beers. What kind of barley you use? Wheats or the hops, right?
There's an IPA we're drinking now, and that's certainly from the hops.
Okay, but
Getting a flavor.
still the majority is barley, and obviously a lot of the flavor comes from the barley. That's where you have a difference between wheat beer and the barley
But
beer.
you're not really able to. You can't tell me that you're tasting barley when you drink. It's the mixture that makes it that. But
That's the flavor.
That's the flavor of the barley. Anyway, the Rosh gives two answers. The Rosh says 2 answers. The first answer.
Like
Well, it's not water.
no, I know it's a mixture.
But based on Rav and Shmuel, as soon as we have a mixture, and even if the minority is barley, Such Hashem is a lot. It's obvious to everyone, almost everyone, we say shakol on a beer. So what's the Rosh gives 2 explanations. As soon as he gives 2 explanations, you can understand it. There's a real question here. He says, well, the first explanation is same as the nut or hamotzi, because we take this very raw thing, barley, wheat, and we make it to something great, like bread, like cookies, cake. And here we just did half of the process. We made it to beer. It can become even better if we make it into bread. So therefore, since we can make it to a higher level, and we didn't reach the higher level, so the bracha is shakol. That's a great answer. Unless just on our days, most of the barley we use is for beer, and even we plant special kinds of barley which are supposed to be for beer. So this kind of barley is for beer; it's not for bread. The Rosh says another explanation, and he says also because, like you said, it's so clear. It's like water. So the bracha should be shehakol. And here, Mishnah Berurah says, and we don't have much time. Mishnah Berurah gives a general important idea that on food we might say mezonot. For food, mezin, it satisfies us. Drink, it doesn't come into mezonot. There's no idea of satisfaction in it, right? It doesn't come to satisfy us. We can't say mezonot, mezin, on something which is liquid. It's like water. It's true. It has barley. It has calories inside it, but there's no idea of mezonot inside it. Therefore, bracha will be shakol, and obviously at the end the bracha will be nefashot. Next week maybe we'll learn some of halachot of Pesach.
Hey, let's learn the brachot of whiskey now.